editor's note here before we get into this week's video. You're going to hear me talk a lot about GC quarters and rockers and coupe quarters and rockers. I didn't know at the time of recording this video that Subie Savers only makes panels for GCs or GFs. I've never looked at their website previously and seen what kind of things they sell. I just knew that they were a company that made replacement panels for these older Imprezas. So I just assumed that they would make panels for coupes, but they actually do not. In the video, you'll hear me say towards the end, I'm gonna do some research on this, blah, 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 whatever. And that's exactly what I've done. So this is me saying right now, they do not make panels for coupes, and you're supposed to take the sedan/wagon panels and cut them and make them work for your coupe. Now it's not gonna be perfect, and I'm still deciding what I'm gonna do, but it can be done. It just takes a lot of cutting and fitting to make it work. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I know some of you who know a lot about these cars, or a lot more than I do, are gonna hear that and be like, oh, they don't make coupe panels, idiot. So this is just for those people. Now I'm fully aware, and we're gonna go ahead and get right into the video. Okay, so as you guys can tell by the title of the video, we have something that the car desperately needs. Now, I did not buy these. They came with the car when I bought it. These are the Subie Saver quarter and rocker replacement panels. And if you guys watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that the rust is getting pretty bad in both quarters and both rockers on the rear. I don't think we'll have to replace the entire rocker panel, but I haven't pulled off the front side of the side skirt to check all of that. So we may be able to get away with doing only half of it, but as I mentioned, these did come with the car when I bought it, and I have opened up and looked at the quarter panels, but I have not opened up the rockers and checked those out. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna go about having these put on the car. I'm not a welder. I don't know how to weld. I don't have the equipment to do it, but I also don't want to take it to a shop, because then that means the car's in a shop for weeks, months, who knows how long, and then we're not able to film anything for the car. So, kind of at a crossroads trying to figure out what I want to do. I'd love to be able to buy the right equipment, teach myself how to weld, and do it, you know, here in the garage. But my only concern is, even though I didn't pay for these, they are very expensive, and I would hate to screw it up and have to buy another set. Not really sure what I'm gonna do yet, but today we're gonna open them up, check them out, see what they look like, check out the quality of them, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so I don't think that these are for a coupe. We may be able to get away with the quarters, because my rust area is kind of right here, so I might not need this section, but these are, they kind of look like they're for a sedan. And I know you guys haven't seen anything on this car. This actually isn't my car. It was at one point, but it's been sold. I'm doing a bunch of work on it. Blah, blah, blah. So let me kind of mock this up, because I definitely know that these rockers these are for sure for a sedan or a wagon. So those might not even work. So let me get the quarters mocked up, and we'll check it out. All right, let's open this. Now, it's actually a good thing that I do have a sedan here to kind of check fitment. Oh, these are 100% for a sedan. Okay, so that, like, I mean, we may still be able to use the quarters, but... Okay, so I've just decided to cut in a voiceover here just so I can go through and explain what exactly is going on. So in this next segment, I'm basically mocking up the quarters and the rockers and telling myself, hey, these are panels for a sedan. And I'm saying things like, of course, you know, the previous owner's an idiot. He bought sedan panels for a coupe, blah, blah, blah. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Subie Savers does not make panels for coupes. And at the time of recording this, I was under the impression that they did. I thought they made panels for sedans, wagons, and coupes, but they do not make them for coupes. So right here, I'm just mocking it up, kind of getting a little irritated, thinking like, okay, well now I have to sell these and buy coupe panels, and just a whole mess. I was pretty frustrated at first, but after I went through and did some research and checked around with a few different people who have been through this process, I'm a little bit more confident in keeping these rocker panels and just shaving off the top area where the little cutout is for the B pillar, and just trying to use that section on my rocker panel. I'll basically be using the rear section of these rockers mainly to keep the shape. So I'll be using the rear of the rocker, and I'll probably be using the entire arch of the quarters. And someone brought up a very good point and said the main goal is to keep the shape, and then you can fill in the rest with sheet metal or whatever you want to do. So now that I've done these test fits, done the research, figured out what I can do with them, I think I'm going to go ahead and use them and try to basically just cut out the pieces that I can use and cut and fit them to where, you know, they'll work for my setup. It's really unfortunate that Subie Savers does not make panels for coupes, and maybe that's something that I could personally look into for the future. Not trying to, you know, start a business or anything, but just look into different ways that it can be more of an availability for coupe guys. Because, I mean, clearly you can see sedan guys can just buy these pieces, cut out where they need to, and just put the pieces right in, and it's sort of plug and play. Seems like it's not that easy for coupe guys, so I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Probably something that'll never happen, but maybe down the road. You never know. So just wanted to kind of clarify, you know, what my thoughts here were in recording this segment, and then kind of make it make sense with a little bit of editing and voiceover. So we'll get back to the video. Nice. Oh, damn. Watch what you're doing there, bud. Okay, so I remember when I bought the car, I do remember taking these quarters out and kind of doing a test fit, and I thought they matched up pretty good. But clearly, well, okay, so I'm thinking, I mean, obviously the arch is off. Well, the arch isn't off, but this section is off because it's cut for obviously a 4-door, and this is a 2-door. But I'm almost certain that the rust area is just from like right here to here. And if that's the case, we could just cut from here and use that back. So I think we might get away with the quarters. So as of right now, the plan is going to be to try and see if we can get the Subie Saver quarters to work. I think we can. I'm going to do some digging around on forums and maybe ask some guys in the Facebook group and see if anyone's used the 4-door quarters for the coupes, at least that section right there. And here was some more rambling about how I think the sedan panels aren't going to work, and I'm going to have to buy new panels and blah blah blah, and just more footage that I can't really use the audio from because it's basically me talking about how you shouldn't buy sedan panels for your coupe because they're not going to work. But in reality, they can work depending on your situation. It really just all boils down to where your rust is and how much there is. Now, in my case, I think I can use them to a certain extent, but I've pretty much decided what I'm going to do is head to a local junkyard of mine because there is a base model coupe there, and that car actually has, I think, 7,000 miles on it, 7 to 8,000 miles on it. So that tells me that it was wrecked, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever, and it's been sitting in that junkyard ever since. And that leads me to believe that, maybe it was a Southern car and it's been sitting, obviously, so it may potentially still have rusted these sections out. But I'm hoping, because it's been in the South for so long, that the rockers and quarters in the same areas as mine are still salvageable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head to that junkyard whenever I get the chance and look at that car and see if I can cut those sections out of it and use them on mine. And that would just be so much better. That way I don't have to cut up the Subie savers, and I can, pass them on, sell them to somebody who could actually use them, because Subie savers apparently has been out of stock for a long time now. So I would rather sell them to someone who has a four-door that can make better use of them than me. But that really just depends on the condition of that coupe that's in the junkyard and if I can even use those panels for mine. You're probably asking yourself, why is a 7,000 mile coupe sitting in the junkyard? I don't know. It was probably wrecked. The car's destroyed at this point. The whole upper half is not chopped off, but somebody's been in there hacking away at it. The motor and trans and everything's still there. It's pretty much all complete. I've taken a few things off of it over time, but I never really looked at the condition of the quarters and the rockers. So that's the plan. We're gonna go look at that car, see if I can use those sections, and if I can, I'm gonna sell the Subie savers to someone who could make better use of them than me. But if those sections on the junkyard car are not good, then I'm going to be using the Subie savers, and we're going to go from there. So just wanted to add this little clip in here because all of the audio from the recording is completely useless. So we'll get back to it. That's where we're at right now. So just going to look into it a little bit more, figure out what my options are, and we'll go from there. But obviously we need to get this taken care of as soon as possible. And I'm leaning more towards doing it myself, simply because I don't want to have the car in the shop for months, weeks, years, who knows. So that's the plan for right now. Hopefully you guys learned a little something from this video. That's going to be it for this week's episode. I know we didn't really do anything to the car, but this was a pretty important step in the right direction for getting it where it needs to be. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next week.